Welcome to DFW Running Talk. I'm Chris Detzel, so let's get started. All right, welcome to another DFW Running Talk. I'm Chris Detzel, and today we have Carlos Parra. Carlos, how are you?
Hey, Chris, very well. Thank you for inviting me. It's exciting.
Yeah, man. Hey, thanks for getting on. And like I tell everybody else, is that I see you running, I see you winning races, and I thought Carlos looks like a really cool guy to have a conversation with about running. So here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. What better than spend some time discussing about what we love to do, right, on a Monday evening?
Exactly. I just got done running the Cowtown Half Marathon. I don't know, have you ever run Cowtown before? Or?
No, actually, last year, I did a rookie mistake. You get cocky with your workouts, you get confident training. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna run the marathon as a workout. So of course, not at the pace of my marathon pace race, but intense, kind of long run. So I was experimenting with doing double threshold workouts. So on that Tuesday before the race, I had done that. And then I really didn't taper. So I went into the race and man, I didn't finish actually. It was my first and only DNF so far, which was psychologically kind of tough.
Wow, that's an interesting story. And usually whenever you go in to run a marathon, you're not going to do a hardcore workout a few days before. I guess you learned, hopefully.
Definitely was a lesson learned. I still think that there's value and you can use a marathon or a race as a workout.
Yeah,
I've done that before.
Yeah.
But you have to respect the marathon principle. You have to respect it a lot. And I made a mistake that I didn't respect it.
Yeah, look, I think that you can go into different races and use them as training, as long as you use them as training, number one, because the beauty about some of these races is that they have water stops, they have different things that you don't have to necessarily worry about. But I think using a race can be smart, and especially like in trail running. Like if you're training for a 100-miler and there's a 50-miler or 50K out there, why not go do a race? Because they have all this food and everything else and aid stations that really help you. But I think you could do that as well. But if you go, like Cowtown is a tough one because it's got a lot of hills. And if you don't respect that race and you've done a lot of training in between that week, probably not a great one to be a training run. I don't know, not for a marathon, maybe a half or something like that. I don't know.
And the second mistake I made was I didn't study the course. So someone told me there was some hill here and there, but I was not expecting that kind of hill.
Yeah, for the half marathons from mile 9 to 13, 9 is the big one. When your mind is a little messed up there. And then the rest of it is rolling hills. And it's pretty tough at the end, as you know, or maybe you don't since you didn't finish it. But it's a good race.
Yeah.
Enough about that. I would love to know, when did you start running? And you got really fast, really smart about running and stuff. So I want to hear about your journey.
Okay, great. We can talk about that. And then at the end, we can talk also about trail running because I've done a couple of races as training for longer races in trail running.
Smart.
So we can also talk about that later. So yeah, so I think that's a very important question because the more I dive into running and the more I meet people and meet other runners, it's critical, the background, how long you've been running, what other sports you've done before. So yeah, and personally, I don't have the typical running background. I started running seriously with COVID.
A lot of people did.
Yeah, it was bad for many things, but it was good for many other things. Yeah. But despite that, I had a sort of sports background, right? So the main sport I used to play back when I was in Spain, so I'm from Spain, it was a little bit of soccer, but mainly I was playing field hockey, which is, I don't know if you're how it is more or less, field hockey.
I know what hockey is, but field hockey I think is different.
We play with a stick, and the ball is a round ball, like tennis ball size, kind of hard, and the field is turf.
Oh, okay.
So we're running. We play us 11 versus 11. So it's similar to I think the type of activity or a type of effort is similar to soccer.
Yeah.
So
wait. So in Spain, do you call it soccer or football?
Football.
Okay, got it. Just making sure.
Yeah, correct. I'm getting used to the American way.
Yeah. We are in America, so it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
I was curious.
Yeah. So yeah, I played field hockey relatively competitively since I was 11 or 12 until I was 27 when I moved to the US to study. During that time, I had run a little bit. So of course, when you're training for field hockey, you run the typical running, do 10 laps at the field. Or on my own, I would run now and then. I remember I had done a couple of 5Ks just for fun, and I had gone under 20, like high 19 minutes. So I guess that was a fitness that my field hockey training could give me.
I feel like that something like field hockey, soccer, football, whatever, is a very good activity to go into running. I've seen a lot of really successful soccer players go into running and be very good at it. So it makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think it's a
And
good
that you're
base.
really good at running too. So
It's a good base, and also it gives you the discipline of having that sport. Also, that's important, right? And I remember when I was 19, I was in the university. My classmate came and told me, "Hey, there's this half marathon that if we do it, they give us like half a credit for school. Whatever we do it is, wow, half marathon, let's do it."
yeah.
But it's one of those things I had run where I ran playing hockey, and then I remember I went to the treadmill because I didn't even know how much is.
What is that half marathon anyway?
Yeah, I don't even know. Exactly. So I went to the treadmill and I ran, I think 12K. So a half marathon is 21K. So 12K is a little over a half marathon in the treadmill. I did that and then, okay, ready to go. So then we ran the half marathon, and I think I did 1 hour 45 or something like 44, which is not bad.
It's impressive for somebody who never ran a marathon or even trained for a marathon or half marathon.
Yeah, no, it was fun. Yeah, and from there I did a couple. I didn't run for a few years, and then just before moving to the US, that year before, I ran a couple of halves because my brother was getting into running. So I did a couple of half marathons, and I remember the time I went like 140, then I did 137, and I think I went down to 132. But then I moved to the US and I moved to Boston, which is going to be key for my running story, right? So in Boston, I was doing my residency in, as we talked before, in periodontics and dental implants. So I'm a dentist. I did my I did my dental school in Spain. And then I went to Boston for 3 years to do my specialty in periodontics and dental implants. And yeah, it was a good move. It was fun. It was a great city to study.
Great city. Expensive,
yeah.
but man, I want to move there one day.
Yeah, I'm not doing it again. I had the experience. It's good, but definitely. Yeah.
So let's back up then. So you go to dental school, and we'll talk about running in a minute. But then, when did you come to Dallas? Was it after school, and you had a job or some offer or something, or what?
Yeah. So I finished the residency program in Boston. Yeah. So I graduated 2015, and I had the opportunity to come here to teach at Texas College of Dentistry. And I just moved November 2015.
Okay, and you've been here ever since.
Yeah, haven't moved.
Okay. How do you like it? How do you like Dallas? You probably never even heard of Dallas until maybe you heard of it, but you're probably like, I don't know what it's like.
I heard a little bit, but I imagine like you're in the far west with the rolling clouds in the deserts. I can hear
Cowboys and Indian Cowboys kind of stuff. Yeah.
Basically, yeah. So one of my professors in Boston, he told me, if you want to stay in the U.S., why don't you look Texas? It's cheaper than Boston. Yeah. There's no state tax, and the weather is similar to Spain, which I think is way hotter here.
Yeah, probably.
more similar than Boston, probably. Yeah. So yeah, I like it. It's good. It's professionally, I'm happy, and then definitely running. It's good. I like it. It's tough in the summer, but it makes you a stronger runner.
Yeah. If you smart over the summer and just run in the mornings or something like that, and maybe you do some races, maybe not kill yourself on the races, but at least run fairly hard. October, November comes. In Dallas, you're just going to be flying and feel like you're faster than you ever have been. So you run some half marathons and then you move to Boston. And so you start getting into the running scene. Is that right?
But in Boston, I tried running a couple of times, but I was having ITB band syndrome.
Okay.
It was
for 3 years?
Yeah. So I tried to run a little bit. I had it. Then I started playing pickup soccer. So for a while, playing soccer, it didn't aggravate that. So I didn't try running for weeks or months. Then I would run again, and after 20 minutes in the treadmill, again pain. So I had a hate with running. I can do sports, I can play soccer, I can do gym weights. I'm not gonna run. For 3 years, I tried to run, sporadically, 20 minutes here and there, 30 minutes, but I was playing soccer like 2 or 3 times a week, so I was doing some.
You're still doing some good stuff,
Yeah, some activity. And then I moved to Dallas.
And you come to Dallas, there is no soccer.
No, there is. I found soccer. I know there is. I found soccer in Dallas, even more, because I was not going to school, right? So I had more time to play soccer. So I was playing soccer, tennis, riding a little bit on the Peloton, indoor cycling. When I was in Boston, though, I experienced a Boston bombing. So that was...
You did? Okay.
I was not in the city that weekend, but a friend of mine, she was injured. Had I been there, I would have been in the finish line because everyone went to watch the race. So that was quite hard. And then I remember the year after when Meb won the race, I remember I was watching. So I didn't appreciate at that moment how hard was a marathon or how tough was that. But that later sparked a little bit. Yeah, the drive for running. So then I was here in Dallas doing my own thing, working out, and then the winter of 2020, somehow every winter I go for Christmas, I go to Spain to see my family. So I went for a run, and my ITB band was gone. And I was like, huh. And my brother at that point, he was a runner. He had done some trail races. He was relatively competitive, amateur competitive. And so we went for runs, and I was feeling good. So then I went back to that, came back in January.
Wait, can you kick your brother's ass in a run or no?
Say again?
Can you kick your brother's ass in a run or no?
Now, yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I think he's 250 or 255 marathoner, 250 maybe. So
pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. And now, a few years ago, he was kicking my ass, and now that's the way.
Let's keep going. Sorry, I've got so many questions, but let's keep going. Well, I'll ask you to.
Okay, so yes. Okay, so January of 2020, in the Christmas when I was in Spain, I started running, and it was fine. So and my brother told me, hey, there's this thing called Strava. Why don't you use it so I can follow you and you can follow me? I didn't know about it.
Yeah.
So after that, I fell in love with the app, right? It's great. And from there, I started running. Then COVID hits in March. So no soccer leagues, no gyms. So that's where I went like full mode running. I just started running.
Else to do.
Exactly.
A lot of people did, you know?
Yeah. I mean, Katy Trail, I was living very close to the Katy Trail at that time. So I was going, not every day, because at that time my muscles were still adapting, but every other day for sure. And that's when I realized after a few months, I started thinking, I can run for an hour and a half. Maybe I could try to qualify for Boston. Yeah. And that's what sparked everything.
All right, let's go there. So you decided that you wanted to potentially qualify for Boston, but how were you training, and what did that look like? Did you do your own, did you get with the group or anything like that, or how did that work?
Sorry, I lost a bit the connection. You were asking me can you repeat the question?
So you mentioned that you were thinking about Boston now, qualifying for Boston. What did you get in a group? So tell me about that, and then the experience up to trying to qualify for Boston.
Yeah, so that's when I met DRC, which is probably when we met, maybe, or
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember DRC. I didn't know about. I just knew I didn't have any experience with any running clubs or any running groups. So I went. They were meeting on Tuesday. I paid for the marathon training program. Just a little after, not immediate, a few months after, and I don't know exactly when was it. But anyways, I signed up for the marathon training program, and I think I joined the 3:15 marathon group. And I think very quickly we moved into the 3-hour group, that was the fastest group. And I was running with Matt Taylor. Who else was it? Jake Miyamoto, like a Japanese guy.
Yeah.
A couple like Chris. There were a couple of guys, and that taught me a lot about how to create the structure in the workouts. I was also reading and researching on my own, but that really taught me a little bit on how to make things work. And really, I stayed with DRC, going there on Tuesdays, on Saturdays, like very religiously for, I would say probably over a year or more, until there was a point, once we hit sub 3 hours, 255.
Yeah, there's no group there.
There's no group. So in the end, for a while, we would grab some people from the group and say, yeah, let's do our own thing. Let's do our own workout, until eventually I found my own way, because as I said, there was no really, at some point, I think DRC didn't give me what I needed to. I'm still part of DRC, the group, but not the marathon training program.
Do you run with anybody right now? There's a group called Pegasus that meets in Dallas that is about your speed and faster.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard about Pegasus, the slots also. The thing is that these guys meet up at 5 a.m.
Yeah, they do. They wake up early.
Yeah, and I'm occasionally on a Saturday, but it's hard for mornings. I'm not a morning person. I'm not running today. I ran in the morning, but in the morning I can just jog. For a workout, it's hard for me to do a workout in the morning.
A hard workout. Yeah.
So I do a lot of my workouts alone. Sometimes I have some friends that we text, and we do a little group of 2 or 3 people now and then. But I do a lot of my runs alone.
That makes sense. Whatever works. Just thought you would know, or should know, that there's some faster groups out there if you cared to ever join them.
I know them. I know the guys. As I said, I know the guys personally. I'm not a regular.
Alfonso, or he's the one
Alfonso, And then Alfonso, then of course Manny that you brought to to your podcast. Travis, which is way faster than me, but I met him in the group.
He's probably faster than most, right?
No, there's a great group and they're great. And I wish I could mentally wake up that early and run that early.
You can. You just have to make yourself do it if you ever cared to. But
True.
if you don't have to, you don't have to. All right. So you start running with DRC. What was your first marathon? Tell me all about that and what you did.
I remember I did, not mixing the dates. Anyway, when I started running, I was like, okay, I need to qualify for Boston. I think I can, but I want to give myself the best chance. So I looked a marathon that was favorable, like a little downhill.
Downhill, yeah.
So I found one in Utah. It's called the Provo Marathon. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do that one. I registered several months before, and I had already, with COVID, there was no race. So I had been running for over a year, maybe. And I did my program. I was training with DRC at that time. So I showed up, and my goal was to break 3 hours or close to 3 hours. So I started with a 3-hour pacer. And I remember talking to the guys, okay, so how this works? Are you keeping even the pace? And then I remember I asked him, how fast are you? And he told me, I've never broken 3. He's like, really? Okay, so what's going to happen today? We're going to do it today. He said, okay. So I remember we went with the pacer and I was feeling really good. I had my nutrition relatively or I knew more or less what I was doing with nutrition. Every 10K, I was eating something. And I remember after halfway, a little past, maybe after the 15 mile, I felt good. So I pushed a little bit and finished 2:55 or 2:54.
Nice.
So that was nice. I felt good.
The first one, you hit a 2:55.
Yeah, I was
pretty amazing.
I was happy with that.
Yeah.
I was happy.
Nobody does that hardly. Travis did it. He did a 2:26, but which is crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Okay, but all right. So when you look at like somebody like Travis, he's been running though in college 60 or 70 miles every week for a long time. Right? And he's got a lot of talent, but let's put it in perspective. He's been running for a long time and at those miles, just not maybe 26 miles at one time. Anyways, go ahead.
With all respect to Travis, I know him. With all respect, I'm sure it was a lot easier for him to break 2:30 than for me to break 3 hours.
Probably. I don't know. He didn't know what he's going to run. That was his only marathon he's ever run.
That's true.
I don't think he's run a marathon since.
But I'm sure he can go a lot. He'll be able to. We'll see him go fast.
Dude, this guy, who knows what his talent level is? Nobody knows yet. It's going to be fun to watch. Anyways, so you get a 2:55-ish, right? And then,
and I qualify for Boston.
Yeah.
So then next year I go for Boston.
Did you run any marathons before, like in Boston? Or was that it? Just that one?
That's a very good question that I can answer you in a second. If I minimize the window, you can still see me or no?
Yeah, I could see.
I have a graphic of my progression in the marathon, right? So I did have it right here. So I want to make sure. I did in June 2021, I did Utah Valley Marathon in Provo. And no, I did a few because I did Boston, December 2021. Boston.
Dallas, got it, December.
I did
right before Boston, huh?
That winter before. So I did Utah 2:54. Then I trained for Dallas 48. So it was a good improvement. Then I ran Houston. So I went quite.
You're just get injured, maybe, no?
I had a great experience with it. I really loved the feeling of the race, and I really enjoyed it. I just got into. We'll go into 2022. I ran 7 marathons, so we can go later into 2022.
Okay, Jesus.
So that's January 2022. I ran Houston 2:45. So I'm PRing in every race. So I'm like, oh man, if I keep like this, I'm gonna go to the Olympic trials.
Well, no, Olympic trials for guys is what, 2:20 something?
2:18. Yeah, 2:18. I'm not even an American, so I cannot even qualify.
Oh, you can't. Okay, got it.
So anyways, I ran Houston feeling good 2:45. Then I ran the Woodlands in 2020 in
same year.
When was that?
2022.
Yeah, 2022 the Woodlands 2:45. So I'm plateauing. Now it's a little harder to improve the time. And then after the Woodlands, I do Boston.
Okay.
Boston, really enjoyed it. I did improve 2:43. I'm improving every race, so I'm getting motivated. Really enjoyed Boston. I felt that
you got 3 more to go.
Yeah. Well, the next was St. George downhill.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to go fast. 2:37.
All right.
Man, But that was up to today is my fastest one. I haven't been able to.
Those downhills, man, help. Those downhills help a lot.
Yeah.
But,
Personally,
I mean, probably kick your ass as well. I don't know, like afterwards, if you're like your legs were dying, or you pretty.
yeah.
Maybe.
I think it depends on the person. For me, some people, I know some friends that have done downhill marathons and they really haven't had a great experience. For me, it made a big difference. For me, I went fast.
Well, like I ran a downhill half marathon. I got a 1:28 was my best a couple of years ago. And that was the one in Utah at a Revel race.
Uh-huh.
Look, I loved it, man. Don't get me wrong, I was sore afterwards, but it was my favorite and my best half marathon by far. I've never run so fast in my life for that long. I was like, wow, like this is, a marathon would be tougher, way tougher for me to do, but that's awesome. All right, you got all these marathons. You did 7 of them. 2:37 is your best, which is pretty impressive. And more impressive is your 2:55 to me in your first marathon. What are you doing now? Like, how do you train? What are you looking at? First of all, are you looking at a marathon this year?
Yeah. I've done Boston for the last 3 years. So I want to try to do 10 years in a row. I have friends there from when I was studying there. So it's a great excuse. Yeah. My goal, the year 2022, I did 7 marathons. That was good, but I feel you stagnate a lot. You cannot really train well. It's just you're training a little bit, running, tapering, running, recovering, tapering, running, recovering. So you're not really improving.
Well, that's probably too many in general for 1 year or 7. I'm not saying, but racing. Maybe if you're jogging, run, but not racing all of those, it's just probably over time you're going to get injured, dude. That's to me, I think that's just.
I agree 100%. One of them I jogged it or I just went for fun. But and even I had the back-to-back weekend, one weekend, another weekend. And that one, that got me for a month after that. I was taking it easy. My knee was bothering me a little bit. That was,
I don't recommend that. Both.
Yeah, I don't recommend that. But my approach currently is, so I'm doing Boston. So I want to do good in Boston. So that's my spring sort of main goal. Then I do a ultra trail race in the summer. I like to do, because I want to qualify for Western states. So you need to do a qualifier race every year to be able to.
And that's 100 miles. So you can do a 100-miler.
100K, yeah.
100K, yeah.
Western states is 100 miles, but doing 100K, you can qualify.
Yeah, depending on the place, yeah.
Yeah. So I've done the last 2 years, I've done 200Ks every year. Gives me. So 2 years ago, I did Grindstone, which is in Virginia, is a part of the UTMB series. And then last year, I did this race in Spain, is a UTMB Valdarán, is in the Pyrenees. Cool. That's 21,000 feet elevation gain, so that was brutal. But I really enjoyed it, so I'm going to do it this July again. Yeah, that's completely different. We'll talk about it if you want. It's an adventure. I really enjoy also the trail running. I think it's a different animal. But it's an adventure. It's an adventure I found,
Here's my wife and I. So my wife's been to Boston, her 12th time coming up. She's going to go to London this year as well. We have been big into both trail running and road running. So we did this adventure race a few years ago in Colorado called Trans Rockies. And this is going to be the last year that they do it, but it's 120 miles in 6 days with 20,000 feet of gain. You're outside going to all these different places. And one day could be a 25-mile and then next day could be 13 and then another 25, et cetera, all the way up to 120. We even went to last September, we went running in the Alps. So there's this program that, or this group that you can get with. And basically, we did 5 days of running, 50 or 60 miles of running, I forget, up in the trails in the Alps, went to the French Alps and then Swiss Alps, and just jogged and ran, and it wasn't a race, but there was a race at the end as well. But so I think it's important to think about, like, what is going to keep you going? What's going to keep you interested in running or whatever your exercise is? So I love that you're doing that. Got to have goals, and you have pretty lofty goals.
So the connection again missed. So you're asking me what keeps me my interest, basically.
Yeah, well, what I said, that's pretty much what I said. Is that's what motivates me, right? What keeps you going? It seems like just doing different things.
Yeah, exactly. It's just trying new things, and also running. You get to know new places. You can travel and then run in those places. I'm going to Austria in a couple of months. I'm going to run there. I'm going to go around it. Every trip I'm going to Colombia also. So all the trips I'm doing, I'm trying to run. And it's a great way to get to know a city. Nowadays, with Strava, with Garmin, you can download the maps and you can go throughout the city, running around, seeing the city. You stay in shape and you learn and see the city. So it's a great experience. Great
What do you
opportunity.
do? You just put it on your watch and just follow your watch and it tells you where to go? Is that kind of how you do it?
Basically. Yeah, I don't really like to run with my cell phone in general.
I don't need it.
Yeah, so I just try to keep minimal. So yeah, I look up the routes on the app of Strava, for example, and then I put it on my phone, and then I just keep following the watches. Yeah.
No problem.
It's
Like whatever, like you could be in another country and do it.
Yeah, I've done it in Europe, so far in Europe and South America also, like Mexico. I've done it. Yeah, I've done it in the country, and there's no problem. Depending on the country, you want to be a little careful, right? Where you go.
So maybe
Exactly. So I have to know the places.
parts of Mexico.
Yeah, some parts. Yeah, yeah.
So what do you got planned for this year? So you got Boston coming up.
I'm going Boston. I have the Woodlands Marathon next weekend as a tune-up for Boston. Sorry, half marathon.
Oh, okay.
Woodlands half
It's
marathon.
the same.
Okay.
All right.
The Woodlands half as a tune-up. Then I have Boston in April. Then from Boston, I'm gonna jump to train for the trail race in July, the UTMB, like this 110K race in Spain.
Do you run any trails here in Dallas?
So yeah, I've gone to Cedar Ridge.
Yeah, I love Cedar
Preserve.
Ridge.
Yeah, and I run every year. This year I may not be able to run it, but I run the Possum Revenge 56K,
Okay.
which is a great training race. I use that one to train for the 100Ks. And this year I won't be in town for the Possum race, but I'm going to Utah for a 50K race with a lot of elevation gain, because here the problem is that you cannot train elevation.
Yeah,
so I'm
that's
going
right.
to Utah for a long weekend to this 50K race, and I'm going to Colorado for another 4 days to train also in the mountains. So every year I've been doing these little 3 to 4 days training camps, and I went to Flagstaff last year. I went to Denver last year. I'm going back this year. To Utah last year. I'm going back this year. So to train for this trail race, I like to go to the mountains and spend 3-4 days just hammering 3-4 hour days in the mountains.
Do you go with a friend or something or no?
So my partner, my girlfriend, she comes sometimes, but last year I went to Denver she couldn't make it, so I was 4 days. I flew to Denver, rented a car, drove 2 hours to this place called Grand Lake. I had a little cabin, and from there, alone, I just planned my routes. So in the morning, I had breakfast. At 9 a.m., I would go 4 or 5 hours in the mountains, come back, have dinner, and I repeat. That was fun. It was really good.
You should go find like a community of people where you can have beers or something.
True. If I have beers there, we're going to catch for a 4 hour run.
A couple beers, that's not going to hurt at night. Do you drink? I assume
a little bit, but that's another thing, that when you start running and when you start hammering, you change your habits. I haven't drunk anything in a month. If I go out someone's birthday, I'll get a beer, but the last month I haven't drunk not even a beer. Yeah. Mentality change.
I have a group that we meet on Thursdays, and usually it's at Norbuck. Have you ever Buckers, right? Yeah. And during kind of the winter times, we meet at a local bar, and just hang out, eat a little bit, drink a couple of beers. You're welcome to come anytime.
I'll join you. As long as it's not at 6 a.m. in the morning.
No, we meet at about 5:30 or 6 and stay till it's dark, basically. Sometimes people will run, sometimes we won't. Let's just go hang out. Well, that's pretty cool, man. Way more interesting than I thought. I love that you just get out and just go. You know what I find about people that are European is that, like, all right, so I used to have a bunch of friends or people that I worked with, and the company was a French company. And so what's funny is that they would come out to Dallas and they would live and they'd get to work at the company because we would bring in people from France and they get to stay here for 2 or 3 years. Every weekend or so, they're taking off, going to Utah or Colorado or New York, or every single time. They're just doing all the things. But I think that's culturally what you do anyways. If you live in Spain or France or whatever, you're going to Germany or you're going to Switzerland, or you can just go to these different places. And so I think that's just feels like it's built in to your thinking anyways. So I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think, you may be right. Yeah, I think as much as I like travel, but I also, if you're into, for example, marathon-specific training, in the heat of training, it's also good to just stay in your habits, in sleep in your bed. But definitely traveling, we're not professionals here. Just enjoy a little bit, combine the love for traveling and the love for running.
And that's exactly what my wife and I have done over the years is we're just like, let's go. If we go to Europe or if we go to Utah, I don't know, wherever, let's plan a run, because it's way more fun to me to be able to do something like that rather than like one year she went to run the marathon in Germany, right? The Berlin. It's like, let's stay for 4 or 5 days. So we did, and we went to Switzerland and we saw some things, but we didn't do much. Like I'm like, okay, I never want to do a thing that we don't have some activity, like a running activity or something that's every day. Maybe there's one day we don't do anything, but something like that. So I guess I'm just saying I agree with you. I love that.
Yeah.
And you said your girlfriend goes with you, so that's pretty awesome. Is she a dentist as well, or?
So she's a lawyer, and she currently lives in the Woodlands. She moved for work. So that's also a good excuse to go run the half marathon and spend time with her. She also runs. I'm coaching or advising her. I'm not a coach, but I advise. She's been doing PRs. Except for the marathon, but for the half, she's 1:30. She's going to break fast. She's going to break 1:30 this weekend in the Woodlands.
All right. And are you going to break? What's your best half?
So my best was in Houston last January. I did 1:16.34, but I want to break 1:16 in the Woodlands. And I want to keep.
So you have a 1:10 in you at some point.
I don't have a hard goal, but definitely I would like. I think it's a possibility.
If you ever train for a half, if you're focused in on that, you might be able to do it.
Yeah, I would like to definitely keep getting faster as fast as I can on half or all the distances. Actually, I really even like racing 5Ks.
I know. That's where I saw you this last weekend, or a couple weekends ago, was Form Follows Fitness. Yeah. And I think you got second place with the 17:02 or 1 or something like that, right?
16:59 time, actually.
Oh, okay. I thought chip time 16. Okay, that counts. I was disappointed that you didn't get first, though.
I was close. I didn't taper too well that week. So I think with a good taper, I could have gone at least closer to the first guy. No, but I really love the competition. Even if I don't win, just having someone to just having a little battle, that's really...
There's a lot of competition here in Dallas.
Yeah.
For 5Ks, there's a lot of competition.
Yeah.
Well, I think for any race. You win some of these 5Ks though, don't you?
Yeah, occasionally there's competition, but occasionally those races, sometimes I wish there was a little more on some races. I feel there's so many little races sometimes that it's hard to have all the people running in all the races.
If you're going to run a DRC race or something, you're probably going to win it, right? You have to go to these bigger kind of races to get that competition. Some of the kids that are 15, 16, 17 years old are 15-minute 5Kers. It's probably not going to beat that. I know you've seen it.
Yeah, I tell them to come with me to the trails for the 100K.
Yeah, exactly. How do you do on the trails? I'm sure you're pretty fast on the trails too, huh?
As we said, these local races like Possum Revenge, I've won a couple of the smaller ones. But when you go to one of these big races, for example, the UTMB in the Pyrenees, so UTMB is this company organizes races, and you have the main one in Chamonix in France. So the one in Spain, it's considered, they call it a world major. So in each continent, they have a world major. So that's a world. So it gives you double the stones, which is the lottery tickets to qualify for the main UTMB event, right? So that's very competitive. Man, that really humbled me. Women, all the females, kicking my ass, all the guys, I'm like just struggling to just keep up. It was really very humbling experience, actually, very humbling.
Those guys are pros. You go to Europe and run a UTMB-like race or whatever, or something put on by them, you're probably not going to win it, no matter, because these guys just do it all day, every day.
I did this 50K that I'm going to do for training. I did last year. Granted, it's a small race, but I finished fourth, right? So I go to the UTMB and I finished like 600. It's like out of 2,000. It's like, oh my God.
It's different. And 600 is probably pretty good. But you're not running a lot of mountain races. If you were to actually train for that, if you lived out in Colorado or somewhere like that, you'd probably be quite a bit better and trained up. You live in Dallas, so you'll never, unless you just travel every weekend to do it, you're not going to be great at it. You know?
It's a very different animal, Christian. And it's also what I was saying about an adventure for the trail races. It's not only the race, but also the preparation. So you're in Dallas, you need to learn how to go up 20,000 feet and how to go down. So what do you do? So you go to the gym in the treadmill, you put the treadmill up and you just go hammer threshold up the treadmill. You go get the weights and do some weights, some lunges. Get up here and go up and down 25 times.
Yep. That's all you can do. Have you heard of Blaze Trails? Do you do any of their runs?
Blaze Trails. Yeah. I've done I think Summerfest is the one they have in August. I've done that one. I've done a few of
I'm
the
just saying
races.
they're probably they're one of the most local races that put on trail races in DFW-ish area. And so does Libby. She puts out a few races as well. I forget. Anyways, that's cool, man. Is there something that I probably should have asked you that you're just dying to tell me that I just didn't get to?
No, I think we touched everything. I think running is just a matter of consistency, and you know
That's
it.
right.
And I think it's important to just get every day, not every day or every other day, whatever is your thing, but just not let it go and just keep doing it, because I really love it. And I love chatting with you and chatting with friends and talking about different trainings and what you do for training and what about this, how you did that, everything. I think it's just great. There's a lot more people that don't know it, they don't understand it, but you and I and all the community that does it, it's amazing. And it's great that you have this podcast. For how long you've been doing the podcast, if I can ask?
This particular podcast since October.
Wow, it's recent, but it's great. I hope you keep up with it, because these little things, I think, is what making the running community bigger and better. And yeah, congrats.
I think look, I'm always interested in talking to local runners that, they're doing something consistently running and serious about their running. And it's obvious that you are and were. And so that's why I was like, I got to talk to Carlos. I got to get to know him better. So I appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. And yeah, I hope to see you. So what are you training for next? I'm asking you to help.
Yeah. So I was going to do this race in New Hampshire and decided that I'm not going to do it. My wife is going to Boston and then she's going to London. So I'll do some 5Ks, but I haven't planned out. Like usually I have things planned out far into the summer past, but I'll probably just do some local stuff. I'll probably do DRC half. I'll do more halves than I won't do any fulls. I'll definitely either pace or race at Dallas. I have Houston next year that I want to race.
The full or the half?
No, just halves. Dude, I don't really do fulls anymore. It's been 10 years since I run a full, raced a full marathon. I've done some things like that, but it's more of my wife and I are going to go on this 6-day vacation and do a lot of running. And so sometimes there'll be a 25 miler that day or something, but I'm not racing it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But so I'll do some local stuff. I was thinking about doing a 5K probably with my son, but I'm not gonna stay with him. He can just do his own race. But so that's coming up. It's called the Velvet Hammer or something like this, a 5K.
I think I've heard it.
I think you probably run it, but they put it on every year. And then we'll do the Mambo Miles. So
I've done that one. Yeah.
You should do it again, man. That's probably fun just because of the after party. So we'll do some 5Ks and things, but I don't know, man. Like I'm enjoying just hanging out, running with the community and not being extremely serious about it, because I've run so much over the years that this year let's just see. So nothing really that exciting at the moment for me. But I am going back to France to see a buddy of mine. We are going to do a race. I think it's a cycling. So it's a running and cycling race. It's in Annecy, France. And so at the same time, so they have this big, beautiful lake in Annecy. Have you ever heard of Annecy?
No.
It's right on the border of Geneva, Switzerland, and France, right? And so anyways, this big lake. It's about 35K around. I don't know how long this race is, but basically on this race, you have to run or your friend has to run. And one has to be on the cycle, and then one has to be on the bike. One has to be on the cycle, and one has to be running. Uh-huh. And so you just take turns, right? So I could do 20 miles, and he could do 5 miles, like on the bike or whatever. You just never see anything like it. And I thought, shit, I'll do it with you. Why not? Yeah. So I'll go out there, hang out with him. It'll just be me and him hanging out and doing stuff. But that'd probably be my fun thing that I do this year.
Wait, that's good. Yeah, it sounds exciting. Definitely something interesting. Let me know how it goes.
I will. It's not till September, but I got to book that trip, by the way. But still, yeah, that to me is what is going to be fun. But cool, man. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I appreciate you coming on.
Likewise. No, it's great talking to you. And again, thank you for what you're doing and for having me here. I hope to catch up later with you.
Of course. All right, Carlos. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to another DFW Running Talk. I'm Chris Detzel. Don't forget to rate and review us. It's very important. Thank you, everyone.